We are here today in Ballintemple Forest in the parish of Boho in County Fermanagh to see a very fine example of a dual court tomb. A court tomb consists of an uncovered courtyard area, or in this case 2 courtyards, connected to one or more roofed and partitioned burial chambers.
From right here, as I look over in this direction, I can see a Bronze Age cairn on the end of Quilca, right there. So this would have been slightly after this monument was built. So this monument, Aghnaglack means the field of the hollow. So this is a really spectacular monument in this area. There's a number of monuments around this area. This is one of the most spectacular. It is a dual court tomb. Dual court tomb is one of the earliest of the megalithic monuments. These tend to occur mostly in the northern part of Ireland. They reckon there's about 428 of them in Ireland. Court tombs were happening in or around the early Neolithic, so around say 3700 BC. The speculation is possibly that this could have been a tomb which was associated with 2 different communities, and that's why you have the different courts on each end.
Professor Oliver Davies, in his 1939 report on his excavation a year earlier, spoke of the limestone in this district being very sandy and occurring in easily breakable slabs of about a foot thick. He speculated that the material for this monument came from a place about 20 yards south of the west end of the cairn.
Now originally this would have been covered in a cairn. You can see the area around here is all loose stone. It's all coming right up to the monument here, and it's all over there as well. So at one point all of this was covered, but in the 1800s this was uncovered.
The cairn area is an oblong of 23 metres in length and 12 metres at its widest. The tomb itself is aligned east to west.
These orthostats are just so big, really quite splendid. This excellent siltstone as well. So this court tomb has 3 chambers. Both galleries share this major stone as a backstone. Now maybe you could see the idea where there was 2 different communities using this perhaps. So perhaps some people were burying from this side, other people burying from this side.
Professor Davies described the engineers of Aghnaglack as bold, ambitious and successful, the chambers being, he said, as large as any horned cairn in Ulster. There is evidence at other court tombs for corbelled roofs over the burial chambers. Cairns would have helped to hold the corbelled roof in place. As to the roofing over the burial chambers here, none remains. William Wakeman suggested that the stones capping the chambers were removed after 1850 to floor the byre of a nearby house. Davies recognised and replaced 2 of the lintels spanning the portals, though these are no longer in place.
So here we have a siltstone, and this separates the one chamber from the other. And we go in here. Here we have another siltstone separating this chamber from the other. This area out here was the court area. The court area here defined by, it's a bit like a sort of a crab claw type of a shape. Circular, but open at the end. Similar at the other side, it's circular and open at the end. So the understanding presently is that the court area would have been where the people would have gathered and feasted. So you could imagine a group of people gathered here in this court type area, and they're eating together, and they're also celebrating the passing of somebody of their tribe, somebody special from their tribe is going into this monument.
During excavations at other court tombs, evidence of fires has been found in the court areas. Some evidence of post holes at the opening of the court have been uncovered at the Boho court tomb in County Cavan.
So it's very likely in the past at some point that this would have been robbed, it would have been investigated looking for treasure, and that tended to happen to an awful lot of monuments.
Professor Davies in the 1930s told a story of people who had dug through the tomb in earlier times being scared off by a large cat.
So in each of the 3 chambers, cremated remains were found. In the eastern chamber, they found the cremated remains of the skull of a 3 to 6 year old. And then in this chamber here, they found the cremated remains of a 12 to 16 year old.
Burnt bone is usually all that survives because the acidic soils dissolve unburnt bone. There is evidence from the wider study of court tombs for the removal and redeposition of bones over time. Davies made the suggestion that the children were priest-kings, perhaps to account for such a large monument requiring such effort so long ago and yet yielding only the remains of 2 children. But perhaps the primary body or bodies had been earlier removed, redeposited or stolen.
The grave goods that were found in this, there was a flint axe head was found. There was some barbed and tanged flint arrows. Now the barbed and tanged flint arrows are more likely from the Bronze Age. So the speculation is that this monument was used right up until the Bronze Age. Now this is common, that these type of monuments were used again and again for a long time, for more than 1,000 years. So one of the things that was found here was a flint javelin head. Now javelin heads are one of the things which are found traditionally in court tombs. It's a diagnostic artifact.
Burnt fragments of bone and a tooth from a red deer and a tooth from a pig were also discovered at Aghnaglack. Among the finds were 11 flint scrapers and a button-shaped serpentine bead. The scrapers, the bead and the javelin head were all Neolithic finds. Pottery sherds found at Aghnaglack have been dated both to the Bronze Age and to the Neolithic.